Sports talk right here on DJ Chase Radio. 1, 2, 3, go.
Ooh. Welcome everybody to an all-new Downright Sports. I am your host, the Notorious Sports Critic, Brent Reid. We are back again this week with an all-new show here on DJ Chase Radio, and also the podcast is available on Spotify. If you've never heard the show before, it is a sports show for sports fans, for all sports fans, by a sports fan. Huh? I'm nervous for today's episode. This is crazy. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. It's a lot of fun. We are back. Today's episode, I'm going to do a MLB preseason lineup. And we're going to talk actually some WWE if I still feel like it and I haven't overheated. Believe it or not, this scarf has taken everything I'm wearing from like cool to extremely high. I got the scarf. You've seen it. Enjoy it. It's going off. The scarf is coming off because the scarf got really hot really fast. I don't know. I don't know if it's a cool factor or what, but if you're listening to the podcast, you listen on DJ Chase Radio, if you've never actually seen me do the show, I always try to wear something different each time. A lot of times, you end up recycling an old outfit, but I try to change it up. And then you have someone like Cam Newton who has changed the fit game all into himself now. Is just a different style of a man that just has a style into the Cam style. It's crazy. I love Cam. He's a good dude. Before we dive into the show, if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see what the description of segment 1 is going to be. But the Olympics just ended, and this past Sunday, yesterday, the Olympics came to an end. But me and my wife watched some of the figure skating. We watched, I think there was the couples. The one night we just was streaming through and watching. But yesterday I woke up and the gold medal game for Team USA versus Canada was on, and boy, oh boy, was that exciting. And it was, if you missed it, Team USA did win in overtime, in a 3-on-3 overtime goal. It wasn't long. It was very quick. The guy's first name that scored the goal, I think his name is Jake. And it was something cool. It was really cool to watch. And the women's team also won gold early in the week. It's not that the women have been more dominant than the men have in more recent years. This was the men's first gold medal since 1980. If you know your history, the Team USA in 1980 is the miracle on ice. They beat the Russians. Nobody could beat the Russians back then, especially in hockey, and they did it. And it's been 46 years since they won their last gold medal. So that's why it's a whole big hubbub about Team USA winning gold again for the first time. So I won't lie, Winter Olympics are a little different. The storylines are cool, but because the Team USA, the Winter Olympics, I feel like does not resonate as much with Middle America and Urban America, because a lot of these sports are rich people's sports. Skiing, cross-country skiing, ice skating, hockey, like bobsledding, snowboarding. Like, these aren't generic sports that you're going to see on 875 in Boynton in the Bronx. Like, some kid is not coming downstairs and doing that in the park. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I drink a cup of tea. Apologize for the slurp, but like, that's one of the things that why Winter Olympics is cool if it's a filler every 4 years, but it's why it's tough for a lot of people to resonate with, for the sheer fact it's not relatable to a large chunk of people. Look, where my wife, taking out the urban thing, where my wife's from, like, nobody's doing any of this stuff there. Like, I can promise you, maybe 1% people doing that in her hometown of any of this. So let's relax, everybody. Let's relax. All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show, shall we? Over the All-Star weekend in the last few days, there's been a lot of chatter of former NBA champion, currently out with an Achilles injury, brother, I relate. Jayson Tatum could be coming back from injury. This injury happened over the summer, last June. Hasn't even been a calendar year yet, and he's already like, yo, I'm ahead of the curve. I'm ahead. I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. Da 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 da. I tore my Achilles, but I am a poor man who tore his Achilles. Jayson Tatum has a round-the-clock staff. I'm telling you right now, yes, I tore my Achilles the end of July, had surgery first week of August. I didn't walk until November, and I still had to build strength and do a lot of stuff. And he's ready to go. Like, we've saw the highlights of him jumping and dunking. That's cool and all. It's different in game when you got to stop, go, etc. And I'm pretty sure he's good at practice, but it's a little different. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, should the Celtics let Tatum come back, or should the Celtics say, Jayson, just sit out? Not for his health, but because this team is rolling. The Boston Celtics are the number 2 team in the East currently right now. They're behind the Detroit Pistons, a team that's on fire. This team is led by Jaylen Brown, who has this Celtics team 37-19. Most people were considering them being a 7 seed at best, but the Joe Mazzulla, is it Joe Mazzulla? Is that the coach's name for the Celtics? I think that's his name. Either way, he has this team playing at a championship level. Let me say this again. Championship level. All right? Joe Mazzulla. If you are the Celtics and you're Joe Mazzulla, I'm literally having conversations with Jayson. I'm like, bro, you don't need to come back right now. You look at this team and how it's made up. Jaylen Brown having a career, 29 points a game, MVP conversations. Peyton Pritchard, 17.6 points a game. Derek White, 17 points a game. And that's just to name a few. They actually have this offense is being spread so well. They have 5 players in double figures scoring. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are scoring over 15 points a game. That's a recipe for a championship team. That doesn't persuade you? All right, how about this? All right? They are second. Let me say this again. Second in the NBA in overall defense. Third in point differential. That's right, third. This is a good, if not great, team for the regular season right now, where if you're the Boston Celtics, you're in a good position. Your team is playing as they would say, a cohesive unit, but they are, okay? Tatum, as great as he is, these men have not played with him all season long. They have a rhythm. They understand the ball needs to go to Brown right now. If Tatum comes back, as well as Tatum and Brown play together, it's going to take a lot because Tatum's going to need the ball. Tatum is a ball. He can play off the ball. He's one of the better players playing off the ball. But when you have a player of that caliber, people are going to submit shots for him. They're going to give up shots, which takes the ball out of White's hand, which is his game, which takes the ball out of Pritchard's hand, which is also his game. These are guys that their role is to provide and be there and help contribute. They're contributing players. The thing you have to be careful of if you're the Celtics is if Tatum is not at 100, if Tatum's not at 95%, if he's at 75%, is he better than a lot of guys? Yes. But will he mess up the chemistry of the team? Absolutely. He can't play. Just don't play. Relax. Take this season. If they win, you'll get a ring. You'll have two. Nobody's going to remember you missed the whole season, bro. They will not. They will say Jayson Tatum, two-time NBA champion. They will. Which, to do so for the Celtics to win, they have to get past, well, maybe the New York Knicks, who are currently third right now behind the Celtics and the Pistons. The Knicks are 6.5 games back. They just won their last two. They're 7-3 in their last 10. There's a lot of conversation out there about can the Knicks do it? Can they win with Karl-Anthony Towns? Karl-Anthony Towns has a lot of criticism ever since he was in Minnesota, but the criticism has cranked up since coming to New York, because that's what happens when you play in New York. Minnesota, you can kind of be Karl-Anthony Towns and fly under the radar. Last season, the Knicks didn't win, not because of Towns, not because of Towns, and not because of Brunson. The conversation should not be can the Knicks win with Towns. The Knicks can win with Towns. In fact, the Knicks are only going to be as good as Towns is. Why am I saying that? Well, I'm glad you asked, boys and girls. Shaft, why am I saying that? Shaft asked the question. Co-host Shaft, who's sitting in the room. I'm not crazy. My dog is in the room. If I could change the camera and show you, I would. Believe it or not, when Towns plays and is activated, the Knicks defense is much better. Much better. When Towns doesn't play, the Knicks defense is worse. Now, there's a stat, okay? I looked it up today. There is a stat in the NBA that is the player defense stat. In the scoring is the highest, the higher. So basically, if you're like 115, that's not good. If you're 100 and if you're I believe right now the best currently right now is 10. I wrote it down. Did I not? Did I write it here? I did. The best right now is 104, and that is Kurt Heinrich on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Karl-Anthony Towns is currently 7th in that ranking of defensive players. He's at 108, okay? Without him, the Knicks are terrible on defense, if you hear what I'm saying, Chief. Offensively, they're even worse, and you need offense. The Knicks, when Karl-Anthony Towns plays offensively, score 114 points. That's what they average. Without him, 103 points. They have fewer rebounds without him. They have fewer block shots without him. And it's not close. It is a wide margin. Karl-Anthony Towns is a need for the Knicks, okay? And he is one of the primary reasons the Knicks are as good as they are. Why aren't they better? Well, for the Knicks to win a championship, they're going to need their contributors, to step up. They're going to need now newly acquired Jose Alvarado and Jordan Clarkson, who I feel is the guy that's really going to help the Knicks in the postseason, because he can get buckets when allowed. Now, you got to give him in sporadic minutes. He could be a great burst off the bench. But Alvarado, OJ Anunoby, and Bridges, these guys have... Hart is going to be there. Hart is literally the heart and soul of the Knicks. Without Hart, I don't know if the Knicks are an 8th seed, because Hart does all the grunt work. But when you look at the Knicks' roster, offensively, Towns and Brunson do the bulk of the scoring. Brunson 26 points, Towns 20 points. Towns can probably score more if he wanted to, but Brunson dominates the ball a lot more. Anunoby 16 points, Bridges 15 points, the other McBridge 12 points, Hart 11, etc. My opinion, the Knicks always needed another scorer. They needed somebody right in between Brunson and Towns. Anunoby is not that. Okay? Come postseason time, Jose is going to really have to turn it up coming off the bench to help the Knicks score. The Knicks' bench, I feel, is better this year going into the postseason than it was last year. Not to mention Brown plays the bench more than Tibbs. Now, another thing that the Knicks will need, Brown's going to have to step it up as far as his defensive strategies. Now, unless he's holding back for the playoffs because he doesn't want to give it all away, he's going to, because the one thing Tibbs did, he had the Knicks playing defense. Okay? Now, were they exhausted by the time the playoffs came? Absolutely. Were they exhausted by the Eastern Conference Finals? Yeah. So is everybody else. Ain't nobody else. You think everybody's just fresh as roses? If the Knicks are going to win a championship, and the Knicks are going to make it to a championship, they're going to need their others. They're going to need their big time players to step up and show out. If you look back last year in the postseason, some of the guys that were on the team, Brunson, 29 points, did his job. Towns, 21 points. Anobi, 16 points. What is he averaging now? Go back to the board. Shaft, thank you. 17 points. No change. Bridges, 15 points. No change. Josh Hart, 11 points. No change. That's what they're scoring now. For the Knicks to win, those guys, their numbers have to increase. Anobi's got to be a 20-point scorer. Bridges has to be at a 18 to 20-point score. Hart, you're fine. You do what you do. But your regular season numbers should not be almost the same in the postseason. Why is that a problem? There are fewer games in the postseason. Your scoring should increase. Score more, not less. So we'll see what happens. Knicks, no doubt, are going to the postseason. We're going to see what happens. And we'll see what they do. So I'm curious to see how this one plays out. But it's not guys, if the Knicks lose, it will not be because of Karl-Anthony Towns. Promise you that right now. All right? I promise you that right now. Everybody take let's take a sip of tea. Let's do that. Been a long day. This tea I got is for motivation. I guess you can buy different teas that do different things. You can get there's a tea that gets you going. There's tea that puts you to sleep. It's a tea that mellows you out. It's a tea for focus. Either that or that. It's all drugs and we just don't know. The last few years I've been paying attention to the Denver Nuggets. When they won the finals a few years ago, I thought without a shadow of a doubt this was the new standard bearer of the NBA. I thought they, without a doubt, had the best player in the game. I thought they had one of the better coaches in the game. And since then, they have been, in my opinion, completely disappointing. Truly. I think the Denver Nuggets have been one of the most disappointing teams next to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets are the most disappointing teams to win championships in the last few years. Like, honestly. They haven't even been a true, in my opinion, my sole opinion, I don't think they've been a actual threat because they, my opinion, it's one reason. It's Nikola Jokic, the Joker, if you will. They won the championship in 2003, the 2002-2003 season. All right. Since then, I'm trying to get to here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Can I get there? What happened? What we're doing? All right, here we go. Since winning the championship, they lost in the Western Conference semifinals, lost in the Western Conference semifinals. They lost in the semifinals. Does it show how many games? No, it doesn't. I don't see. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. But, yeah, do they win 50? Now, am I grading them a little hard? Yeah, because the Spurs kind of did something similar. Spurs won a championship in 99, didn't win it again in 2003, and then won it again in 05, and then won it again in 2007. So the Spurs kind of spread it out. But I feel like the Spurs actually were competitive. I don't think the Nuggets are competitive. I think the Nuggets win because the NBA is a long season, and there are a lot of bad teams, so they're going to collect a lot of wins. And Jokic is a fine player. But the pedestal this man has been put on since coming to the league, and they said the N-word at the Baxters last night, so it is what it is. Listen, no question the NBA and writers and guys sitting at home have been looking for their white savior for a long time for the NBA. They have. Cooper Kupp will probably be the next one to inherit the mantle. But Jokic has won the MVP award a number of times, like crazy amount of times at this point. He is a 3-time MVP, and this conversation giving him a 4th, okay? I don't think that's fair. The way the Nuggets have performed these last few seasons, if this was LeBron, and I am not a LeBron fan, but if this was, I'm not a LeBron apologist. Let me say that. If this was LeBron, the level of crucifying he would receive, he would be considered lazy. He would be considered he doesn't care. He would be considered all of this stuff. We saw Jokic in the NBA All-Star game, didn't care last year. He's been very open about, he cares more about his horses than playing. This is basically a revenue stream, and I respect that. But if I'm, I feel like the league and its writers, they kind of need to check their what is it? What do you say in South Park? Check your privilege. They need to check their privilege. Jokic has been underperforming with his team since winning the championship. He is a given he's going to get another MVP award because he's averaging a triple-double, etc., etc. But honestly, should he be rewarded for being, a big man that just can run the floor and do a bunch of stuff? No, because his team doesn't win. It doesn't win when it matters. Now, if he wins the championship this year, I'll shut up. We'll go from there. But the trajectory that the league is on, we're going to have another champion again for the, because we won't have a back-to-back champion. We haven't back-to-back champions since Golden State. But we'll see. I don't really feel, I feel he's let me down as a fan because I did look forward to seeing him play. I thought he was one of the, I thought he is, one of the most fundamentally sound players we have in the game. But if it doesn't translate to your team and your team knows you don't care, why would they care? You got a guy in San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, that plays like every game is game 7. He does. And we are fortunate as NBA fans to have this guy. Because when others see him play and they feed off him, like when you watch him, his hair, he don't have a crazy hairstyle. Man, he's got Kevin Durant. He's not tatted. He doesn't wear anything flashy. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. Like, do it. I actually prefer, I like guys that are flashy. But the game of basketball, we've lost. What it's about is mano a mano. Can you beat me? These are the most athletic men on the face of the earth. The things that they can do, no average person can. And when the game is cheated, we as fans, we feel slighted. But when the game itself is played at a ferocity, oh boy, it's the best sport to watch. It really is. It really is. All right. What's the script say next, Chef? All right. It says change the sign. No, that's not what it says. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, we'll be back. We're gonna fade to black. Come right back. Next segment, we're gonna talk baseball, kids. And what am I gonna talk about? I'm gonna do something that they do in college sports. We're gonna do a preseason lineup. Who should make the team? And then if I, don't bore myself, we'll do a preseason we'll do the preseason teams. I've already talked myself out of it. No, I'm joking. We'll be right back. Notorious Sports. Oh, oh, oh.